So it's been pretty incredible to have such a close relationship with her parents in that way. And while we would never, and I know they would never wish this to happen to a child, our relationship has grown by leaps and bounds because of it. And I think we each have our own very unique roles just because we have different relationships with Allie. So her dad has been a little bit more involved, only because he has chosen that. And so for most of the time, except for our visits up to NIH, he did come up with us the first time, as did her mom. But most of the time he is with us in her appointments in Kansas City. So it's usually the three of us that are in there. And it's been nice just having that extra set of ears and that extra support, especially, he was in the room the first two times that we heard the news. So the first recurrence, he was in the room. And knowing the difference, because the second time, or the second recurrence, or the third time, we were by ourselves up in Bethesda. So knowing the difference of having him versus not having him, we're just so thankful that he was there, and just to instantly have family with us. Her mom has been involved too, just in a different way. She doesn't come to the appointments. It's been more difficult for her, having gone through this once with Chris and then having to go through it again with a daughter. You can just sense and see that this has taken a big toll, and she doesn't like to think about it. She doesn't like to dive into it. So she's played a very big, emotional support role for Allie, but isn't necessarily going with us to all the appointments or asking all the questions or doing all the research, just because she doesn't like to dive that deep into it. So I think that's a long way of saying that it's been just a huge blessing to have both of them so close. Honestly, when this all happened, you just didn't think about it. I think we just all so quickly gravitated to our roles, that it didn't affect us. And I know that's not a common thing. And I know that's makes us a little bit different than some in some relationships. But it just wasn't there. And we, Allie has talked about it, that had we not been married, had we just been dating, things would have been very, very different. And they probably would have been more of her primary caregivers, which makes sense. And Chris has talked about it since then, how there were times where it was hard, knowing that after surgeries, I was the first one going in the room. I'm always the first one that's right there, and it was hard for him, but he was glad that it was me. So I think both of our parents have been so good about working so hard to take that step back, when they know that I'm the one that needs to take the step forward, if that makes sense.